Welcome to episode 27 of the Rebel Army podcast, the official podcast of the Cork City Football Club. And this week we talk about being champions again, we talk about our live show, and we also catch up with Becky Cassin. Yeah, we're back with the podcast, joined as always by Aaron. How are you?
Very, very good, Stephen. How are you?
Good. It's been a crazy couple of days, crazy week or so. Obviously, we weren't on last week, but we were planning for so many different things since the last podcast that I think we just got sidetracked.
I don't think anyone had a free hour in the last week or two. So, it's funny, we've started the last couple of episodes talking about how busy the last couple of days have been in each time, because they had with Shawnee coming back and Keith's coming back.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone predicted how busy this weekend was going to be.
No, obviously we knew that there was obviously a live show coming up, but then we also knew that we were going to be in with a chance of winning the first division on the Friday night, and that kind of happened, I suppose, all in the space of a week. Like, we knew all these things were happening together. Like,
we had the live podcast planned months ago.
Yeah.
Never thought that it would come down to that UCD game the next day being the decider as such. Which it was, and that all of a sudden turned into a match week with the podcast sandwiched in the middle to a live podcast.
Yeah.
The biggest match of the season.
Yeah.
And becoming champions, which it's great. It's a very, very busy couple of days for us, especially.
So that's all good things to talk about.
But it's fun.
You know, there's no negativity. Bar the women alright lost at the weekend, but we'll talk about that later. But I suppose we kick off with the biggest news, I suppose. Everyone knows anyway. You know, we're promoted again. We're back up to the Premier Division.
Champions again. Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it? It's absolute. And do you know what? The goal to win the game, we would have taken anything, obviously. But what a finish that was from Malik, by the way.
Malik likes scoring those kind of worldly kind of goals, isn't he?
Big moments as well. He loves the big moments.
He loves the big moments, yeah.
But no, it was absolutely brilliant. Great crowd up there as well. Pitch invasion at the end. I don't know, can we comment on stuff like that? But do we love to see it?
I was standing in the crowd and it was like, my lug going on.
I think when you see a couple of hundred going ahead of you, you're like, I'll just stroll out here.
And then Philip Long came down to me and we were chatting, and the next thing he says, "Should we might as well go?"
Yeah, I was right in the thick of it with the camera. I was drenched in champagne. My phone was drenched in champagne. I was worried for it at one point. But yeah, unreal scenes, wasn't it? It was absolutely brilliant.
It was brilliant. And, you know, the fans singing the players' songs to them. I thought that was cool. Like, they were singing about Keane, were singing about Shawnee to him. Like, you know, and they were lifting up.
The players singing the players' songs as well.
Actually, that was funny as well. Like,
yeah, it's class.
You know?
It was so good. Good as well, I think, that, you know, if we hadn't won it on Friday, we would have won it in Kerry this weekend. But we got a lot more into supporters. I got a lot more into UCD than you did into Kerry. So there was a big atmosphere up there.
There was definitely a couple of hundred there.
Oh yeah, there was. I don't even know how many there was there, to be honest. But there was a hell of a lot more than you'd see at a typical away game in UCD anyway.
Yeah. Plus, we'd have a lot of, you know, City fans living in Dublin as well, so it makes it easier for them. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
there was a couple of buses living in Kerry.
I know. Yeah, there was a couple of buses went up. Well, there would have been a lot of City fans in Kerry a couple of years ago, but they're all Kerry fans now.
They're all Kerry. They have their own club now, you see.
They've defected, yeah. But I know, it was brilliant.
I know, it was fantastic. I actually, speaking of Malik, I said to him, on the pitch, I said, you'll go down in history now, scoring that goal. I know, like, you know. Like,
but they're the moments you look back on. It's the league-winning goal, yeah.
So that, you know, no one can take that back off you. Like, those type of moments are great. Like, you know, Graham Cummins, when they got promoted back in 2011.
That famous goal,
you know, so these are, like, obviously you play a whole season.
And there's moments in that season.
But it's when you know, if, like, especially when there's like one goal in a game like that or something like that, or there's a late winner, which it was, you know, it was in the second half, obviously. For a while there, I was thinking this is going to end up in a draw or something.
Yeah, it looked like that. But that's the other thing as well. You know, you could win the league against the team in 10th place. You know, you beat them well. UCD are the team that are behind us. This was a 6-pointer, which is why we won it. Like, they're the team that are right up there with us, and I think they've been the best team we've played this year.
They had a couple of chances in the first half. They could have easily gotten a goal. They
had 4 or 5 goals.
Yeah.
We were actually very, very lucky to not concede.
And I was thinking, so if they had won, like, it would have probably gone back to the cross in 2 weeks' time, because we wouldn't have been able to win against Kerry even. Because
if they had beaten us, yeah.
Because of the points difference. So it was amazing, like, just, you know, the swing that it could have had on the evening, like.
Yeah. Very different. I think it was, 13 minutes left we scored?
I think so, yeah.
Something like that. But look, absolutely brilliant ending. And again, the pictures from the celebrations, both on the pitch, in the dressing room afterwards. You see the pictures of Jim, the bus driver, right in the middle of everything. Absolute legend, Jim is.
There was a fair party in the dressing room as well, because I was chatting to somebody or whatever. Next thing I came around at the back, and there was flashing lights. It was like, a nightclub. There was, I don't know what was going on anyway, but
it was a bit chaotic in there. Right,
dressing room.
Yeah. It was, do you know what? I was in there for a while after the game, and we went out, did a couple of interviews and stuff like that outside, and finally then as I was leaving, I was like, okay, it might be calmed down a little bit. And just as I'm getting down by there to pass the dressing room, it was louder than it was when I had been in there 20 minutes previous. But yeah, no, look, it was brilliant. I think just great sense of relief to have it done as well, and to be back in the Premier Division, because look, that's where we want to be as a club. That's where the supporters want us to be, and I think that's where probably the other clubs and the league want us to be, because we're that big. They want us to be in the Premier Division, and it's just brilliant to get it done.
Yeah, and you know, it made a lot of headlines around the place as well on national radio. You know, Cork City are back, promoted, First Division champions, and it was nice. We were getting mentioned in the bulletins beforehand as well. You know, sometimes the First Division is forgotten about.
It is, and do you know what? It's like you don't even feel bad saying it, because it's a fact. It doesn't really get mentioned. The only reason it's been getting mentioned the last couple of years, especially down here, is because we're in it. Yeah. So like Cork media, for example, they're talking about Cork City. That's why it's being mentioned. But even in the national media, it's not really spoken about. I think it has come on the last couple of years, and even the attendances in the First Division have gone up from where they were.
They probably go back down over us.
Probably, yeah.
Us leaving.
The last couple of years, to be fair, when we went up last time, there was still Waterford who'd get a good crowd, Galway who'd get a good crowd. Less so now, depending on who goes down from, if it's Dundalk or Drogheda or whoever. We'll see.
It'd be interesting to see how their fans turn out for them if they got relegated, to be honest.
Very interesting, yeah. It'd be interesting to see, like, I think we spoke about it on this before, but they're actually playing each other in Drogheda on the last day of the season. So if it does go down to the wire, then that's all of a sudden one of the hottest tickets in Ireland to get to that game. Meanwhile, then at the other end, Derry are playing at home to Shells on the last day. So
it's amazing how it worked out like that, isn't it?
It's incredible, yeah. It's pure luck, but like,
who would have thought that these things happen? Like,
who would have thought that Dundalk Drogheda would be the relegation decider, and then obviously if it does come to that, whoever wins that will still have to play in a playoff against one of the First Division teams. And
I'm not really sure, even at the start of the season, would the people have predicted Derry and Shells going for the title. I'd say a lot of people would have said Rovers and Pats.
Yeah, and Bows, I think Bows were mentioned. I don't think anyone would have put Shells up there.
No.
I think budget wise they'd be probably mid-table. I think that's what Duff was saying beforehand, and so they're probably overachieving. But to be fair to them, I've seen a bit of them this year. They've done well.
And in Galway are pushing on as well to get a spot in Europe.
Yeah, Sligo are third at the minute, and they were in the battle with us at the bottom last year. Waterford have done well after going up, so it's mad. It's mad.
So you're saying we could have a chance of going for the
I'm saying nothing. I don't want anyone to tweet me. I'm saying nothing.
So you're saying there's a chance?
There's always a chance. Don't tweet me, please.
We'll wait and see what happens next year. Look, the most important thing next year will be to actually stay there. Like, that will be the thing that we'll, like, no huge expectations, because I think maybe last year, when we came back up, none of us probably expected to go straight back down. We're probably thinking, we go back up and we'll have a go off Europe or something.
We'll be fine type
thing. We just think, we're back up and we'll stay up there.
I think the big difference is, it was well documented, the takeover, and how kind of we were a bit behind where we wanted to be, and players not being available because they'd already been snapped up. Whereas now you look at this year, even difference from going into the start of last season, the start of this season. Tim signed a new contract, so that's that box ticked.
Yep. And there was a lot of rumours.
There was a bit of talk, all right.
People asking him in press conferences and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You won't name who, no, but
but there was, like, Keats has been signed for multiple years. Shawnee's been signed. Sean Murray, got other players tied down. You'd imagine more to come in as well. So we're probably, whereas we were behind last time, we're actually ahead of in terms of planning, which can only bode well for next year. And from a recruitment point of view, probably makes us an attractive option for players who are looking for a move, which is exciting for us to see what kind of players we can get in. But yeah, look, again, we don't know what's going to happen next year. The main thing over anything is just stay up.
Yeah.
If we can go on to do even better than that again, fantastic. I think we'll all be very happy with that. But yeah, I think we're just, more than anything, we're in a better place at going into the start of next season than we were The last two probably.
It was funny the other night as well. You know, I actually forgot before the start of the match that Tim was suspended after getting sent off.
Yeah, he actually got 3 games. I don't know if that's out there. So he's
did he get sent off at half time? Was it? I'm trying to remember.
He did. Yeah, he got sent off in the tunnel.
Yeah, because he didn't appear in the second half
at half time, and he was up in. Funnily enough, he was up in the gantry with us for the whole second half. He came in and he set his stuff down on my desk where all the stream stuff is. I was like, Tim, not a chance. Get down that side away from the microphones.
Yeah.
He spent the whole 45 minutes screaming. You could hear him clear as day on the stream. And then afterwards, he said to me, "Do you think I could be heard?" I was like, "Tim, I know for a fact you could be heard."
It was so funny. I was sitting there. I was sitting down in front of the TV, and the next thing I heard, "Evan!" And he showed it, like, and obviously Evan knew his voice straight away.
Yeah.
Around, you know.
It was the same. We were laughing. It was Dara Crowley seemed to be getting it a lot just because Dara was right back, which was right down under where Tim was. So I'd say Dara's looking around like, I can hear him.
Where is he?
I can't see. I don't know where he is. I just listened to him. Yeah. But no, it was funny. It was random enough. When we won the league in 2022, that was at home. Colin was suspended for that, so he was up in the gantry.
Interesting. Isn't it?
There on Friday, Tim was suspended and was in that little control room in UCD looking out the window. Just a weird little parallel with the last time he won it, that the manager just happened to be... I don't remember why Colin got sent off, but could have been the same reason as Tim, I don't remember. But it's just an interesting one that seems to have repeated
Maybe it
itself.
gets stressful at this time of the year and people start kind of...
Yeah, well, I suppose from decisions as well that don't go our way, probably.
But look, we're promoted now, so...
Yeah, we don't have to talk about them anymore. No. We still got what we wanted.
We still have 6 games to go.
Yeah.
No.
It's early to win it, isn't it?
It's very early. But it takes pressure off, I suppose. Maybe gives a chance to give other lads a run out or something.
Experiment, yeah.
You know, if you think even up front, like, Shawnee and Rory are still trying to get used to each other. You know, this is still...
We're still only 3 weeks, 4 weeks into it, like.
Yeah. I said to Shawnee on the pitch, I said, didn't take you long to win another trophy. And he says, yeah, I think about 3 games.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
That's all about 3 league matches, is it? Maybe 4, is it?
He played against Athlone. Then we were away to Cove. And then
the home
Longford, UCD, 4 games.
4 games, yeah.
And he scored 2 very important goals as well in that Longford game. So he has chipped in.
He has, because we were obviously...
Saw a couple of jokes on Twitter about how he was like... there was a picture of him up on someone's shoulders and it was like... when the group does all the work, but you take the credit. But he did literally get 2 massive goals last week.
Come here, one John Terry stuff. No, at all. Like.
Exactly, yeah. It's not like he just showed up and put the kid on. He definitely had an impact. And we'll hopefully have more of an impact. Look, as we said, there's 6 games left.
So obviously there's the trophies presented at the end of the season, the last game against Wexford and then at home.
Yeah.
Do you have to play 10 matches to get a medal? How does that work?
Good question. I don't know.
Because I know that was kind of the way it was done in leagues before, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what the threshold is there. I'd imagine
because then
those lads, like, do they even have the opportunity to play 10 matches? I don't know.
If they've done 4,
6 left. Yeah, I don't know if that 10 is a rule here. I don't.
You just have to play or be in the squad, maybe.
Probably just be in the squad. Yeah, request X amount of medals for your squad.
Yeah, because if you're a
like
sub-keeper, you might never play like.
Yeah, true, and they'll still get a medal. Yeah.
So maybe it's just being in the squad. Something
like that. Yeah, I don't actually know the ins and outs. I've never thought about that actually, to be honest with you. But I've never heard of anyone who didn't get a medal. I'm thinking back to our 2022 squad. I think everyone got a medal.
They all get a medal?
And I don't think everyone would have played. So,
did you get a medal? No,
I didn't. Unfortunately, no. If someone wants to give me a medal, I'll take a medal. I'll take any sort of freebie.
Where did I see that recently? Some tournament, and the backroom staff or whatever, but they, like, some of them got medals.
I think the backroom, like the coaches and stuff, get medals.
Coaches,
but the office staff.
Mick could get one, I'd say.
He will, I'd say. I don't. The office staff aren't entitled to any medals.
The physio and the doctor and stuff.
If there's any spares going, I'll take it. Or just give me a picture. I'll get one made up that looks like.
No, look, 6 games left. We still obviously we're away to Kerry. Kerry now are probably feeling relieved that.
Yeah, we were just saying to you beforehand. It was won down there last year by Galway in Kerry's first season in the league. So I don't think they wanted it won again in their second season. I'd say they were probably happier than we were last Friday when that happened. But I think there'll still be a bit of a buzz and a bit of a party atmosphere down in Kerry on Friday night.
Plus it's close to Cork as well.
It's nice and close.
You know, so and like we probably do have supporters that are even close enough to Kerry, like in the likes of Macroom and all those places that will say, oh, that's the novelty of just driving up the road.
Yeah, there are probably a few in Kerry as well who still have sort of split allegiances that have a soft spot for Cork City after defecting over to Kerry. But
the Killarney crowd still might follow us because even though it's Kerry, it's based on Tralee.
It's a Tralee team, like
Killarney might.
That's not them. We still might have to be able to claim the Killarney lads, but.
Maybe I think people could message us in. How many fans are we from Kerry? Like,
let us know
if you're a Kerry fan,
or if you were a Cork City fan and you've given up on us, let us know just so we can keep you on file.
But so magical scenes on Friday night. But it followed just the night before. Was like we barely got time to kind of digest the night before, and we were straight into it, winning the title.
The night before, that Thursday night was great crack. Like
it was brilliant. Yeah,
it was. I think we had really good feedback on it. Everyone that was there enjoyed it, and the guests enjoyed it, which I think was important as well.
They enjoyed it so much they didn't want to get off the stage. Pat Dolan, I think, would still be there, right, Seth?
That's the thing. Do you know what? The guests we did have, particularly Dave Barry and Pat Dolan, probably could have got another hour each out of the two of them, if not longer. Like it was.
Dave definitely, in another life, could have been a comedian. I think there's like his one-liners on the night were brilliant.
Everyone was getting it, like weren't they?
Yeah, like he was just fast.
People who weren't even there were getting it.
Yeah.
Just on Thursday night, actually, there was a couple of tweets and stuff came in. We do have the whole thing recorded, video and audio. Not sure what the plan is yet. If we're going to release it as kind of a long form piece or if we're going to use clips or what. I don't know, but we do have it recorded, so we do have a record of it. It's just a case of getting that footage and getting the audio and stuff and deciding what we want to do with it. But just if you did miss out on it, we do have it. We'll at least, at minimum, have clips from it. So just in case anyone was wondering, we do have a copy of it.
We might have to few bleepers in it. There's a lot of cursing. That's
my fear. I'm going to have a lot of editing. There was a bit of cursing. There was a bit of things that probably shouldn't be made public.
Yeah.
But look, I'll watch through again and we'll make the call on that before we put anything out.
There's a couple of stories maybe in the first half that we might have to just check them out.
Yeah, probably some that probably need to be fact checked, I'd say. But there was one particular bit where I think was it Trevor had asked Caulfield or someone had asked John Caulfield anyway about the relationship with Stephen Kenny and.
Well, that's right, yeah. Trevor did.
And
Trevor was obviously holding that all along.
He was trying to poke the bear about Kenny, and I thought John was going to go off on one, but he didn't, to be fair.
Yeah. Like I said on the night, we didn't even get a chance to talk to John about like what he felt like when he left, and we didn't even
touch on the managerial career. Really, like there was so much to get through. We obviously spoke to him about the playing career and the 90s and stuff like that. But our most successful ever manager, we actually never even got to the managerial career. But that's just, I suppose, how it fell. We did get to talk about that era with Garrod and Benno and
we did,
and stuff, and Rory O'Hagan, his commentary clip again, which, funnily enough, before you were there, actually, I was in early in the day, and we were testing stuff, just testing clips with the audio text and stuff like that, and they thought everything was good. I was like, right, I've one last clip. This one's very loud. It's clipping. It's gonna. He was like, yeah, look, go on, play it. We played it. The whole Opera House was nearly vibrating. He was like, right, when you're using that clip, tell me when you're going to use it so we know they needed to tweak a few things. But yeah,
it's too loud.
Very, very loud. But everyone loved it. The lads weren't even football fans and they were laughing away watching it. They loved it. Yeah. We all love it. I could have watched that 100 times.
Yeah. But what I loved about Thursday night was like you could see the reaction from the crowd as well. Like they were laughing at the guests, and you know there was like a load of them stayed around afterwards, kind of talking to them, and just a real feel good atmosphere. It was kind of perfect that it fell in then to the night before that. You know, we won the league and stuff like that, and Tim signed a new contract, which we announced on the night. Was a surprise.
Great exclusive to have, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was brilliant. Yeah. Like, and literally I only found out just before we started. Like,
yeah, I knew about it a bit before. Right? I kind of said to Stephen beforehand, look, we might have a bit of an exclusive afterwards, but no, it was brilliant, and I think people were really happy to hear that because, as we mentioned, there had been speculation, and people kind of weirdly expected him to leave, not even thought that he might leave. People were just like, oh yeah, Tim's leaving, which he isn't. So it's brilliant to get that done, to get that announced. I think we saw it. I actually tweeted it while we were on stage, so I announced it and pressed send on the tweet. And people who obviously weren't at the Opera House were like, why the hell are they announcing this at 10:30 on a Thursday night? Like, that's very random.
I saw one or two tweets like that.
But yeah, that was the logic behind that, just in case you didn't know. But no, it was brilliant. And we obviously had Danny on stage as well and kind of previewed Saturday's game against Athlone, but also about the trip to Shells in the Cup semi, and
Yeah.
he had a great line about going up there and beating them, and yeah, I know there was a disappointing result on Saturday, but I think we do have a chance in that Cup semi, and
sometimes, you know, a league form goes out the window, and they've been up and down in the league anyway. They've had great results in the league as well this year, but obviously they lost 4-0 against Athlone on Saturday. But I think that cup game will be they'll be up for it.
I think so, and I think it's a funny one. We played Shells a couple of times this year, All Ireland Cup and in the league, and we've been beaten, and I don't think we've beaten them in a long, long time, but there's still that belief there that we can actually go and do it, which is good. Like, we beat Peamount away this year, which we'd never done. We beat Shamrock Rovers, who were meant to be this big, incredible team that came in to take over the league, which they haven't done. And I think we're going to go into it as underdogs. That's expected. But I think we can put it up to them. I think there's going to be an atmosphere there. There's a lot going to travel up for it because it's a big game. And that incentive of having a cup final, I think, is a huge one. And I really genuinely hope we can go and do it, because there's nothing better than beating Shells, especially if it's something like that and there's something up for grabs.
Oh, it'd be fantastic. And speaking of the women's team, about a week or so ago, because obviously we didn't have a podcast last week, we just ran out of time, as we said, we caught up with Becky, who's just back after being around Europe, actually.
On her travels, yeah. She did a bit of travelling. And funnily enough, another person who considers Cork home despite not being from Cork. And so she was here at Cork City, went on her travels, and has ended up back here at home. She calls it home. We're delighted to have her home.
Yeah.
But yeah, really, one of the more senior players, even though she's still quite young herself.
I always find that fascinating, actually.
It's mad.
There's a few of them like that, actually.
Yeah, like Ciara Mack as well. Everyone makes jokes that Ciara Mack is the old woman of the team. She's not that old at all.
Checking in and say, what? Like, you're still in your 20s, like.
I'm calling Ciara Mack old. She's my age. Yeah. I'm calling me old.
If you're old, what am I? Yeah. But no, so yeah, we had Becky in, and we might as well play it to the podcast, Becky.
Thank you very much.
Should we say welcome back to the club? Another player that has rejoined the club after a kind of period away.
Yeah. And I'm even happier now than I was before to be here. So yeah.
Yeah. Take me back up. Like, you obviously, that's not a Cork accent anyway. We're talking the East Coast. You grew up in Wicklow, is it?
Yeah. Born in Dublin, raised in Wicklow, and then spent some time in Carlow for college.
Okay.
So I've been all over the place.
Was there much of a football culture in Wicklow? Because obviously we're all familiar with Bray, but they didn't have a women's team, did it?
No, I had to travel about half an hour when I was younger to play to Newtown, Mount Kennedy. So
that was the closest club.
That was the closest team. Yeah, there was a team in my town, but we didn't have a girls' team that I could play on. So
yeah. And
by the time I was playing, I was too old to play with the boys. Yeah, so I moved to Newtown, played there for a few years, and then went to Wexford.
So Wexford, then you got into playing in the league, cups and stuff like that. Were you also playing in the college as well when you were in Carlow? Were you playing with them?
Yeah, I was. I played there for the 4 years that I was there. Won in intervarsities in my first year, so that was amazing.
That was a huge achievement, I'd say, for Carlow as well, I'd say, was it?
Yeah, I think that was probably our most successful season. We always had great players, like incredible players. Roma McLaughlin, who plays for Shells.
Yeah.
Emma Hansberry, Amanda McQuillan, Megan Lynch, a lot of the Shells players actually. And we should have achieved more. But we didn't. But yeah, no, we had a great team every year that I was there.
How did the move originally come about with City? Because obviously you had a very successful spell with Wexford. You won a cup at the time, I think, did you?
Yeah. I'd been at Wexford for about 5 years at the time, about 6 seasons. So coming to the end of 2019, I just had a feeling I needed a new challenge, a bit of a change. My girlfriend is from Youghal, so Ronan and Paul had actually been on to me at the start of 2019 about coming down, and just didn't feel like the right time. I had to finish college, and by the time 2020 rolled around, I knew Cork City was where I wanted to go, just from having been working with the club in 2018 with the men. I just knew that if there was anywhere I was going to go, it was going to be City.
And what was the role with the men at the time?
I was in with Kevin Tatton, who was the head of high performance at the time, so I was doing my work placement there when I was in college. So I was with the men every day of the week, and then with the under-19s a few nights of the week with Colin Healy.
And were you impressed with the setup in general that City had?
Yeah, the setup, just the vibe around the place.
Yeah.
I went to the Cross a few times for games, and honestly, just fell in love with it. I'd be a bit of a romantic in that sense. I just love the club from the inside out. So I knew if I was going to play for anyone else, it had to be City.
So when you came down then, did it meet your expectations? Obviously, you were used to being with the men's team, but in terms of the women's team,
It did. We were unlucky in the sense that COVID hit 3 months into 2020, so we only had about 6 weeks together in pre-season before we all went online. But, and I think a lot of the girls would agree with me, it was probably the best 6 months in terms of bonding as a team, because everything was so intense. Although it was online, it was an amazing time for us really just to come together and know what we wanted to achieve.
yeah, so how would that work? So were you training on your own,
Yeah.
in a Zoom environment, or how did that work?
Yeah, there were Zoom calls that we did some sessions. We had groups on WhatsApp, so we'd have certain workouts we had to do that were put in place by the manager, and we just send pictures, videos, messages to prove that we'd been doing the right stuff. Yeah. No, it was great. To be honest, I think we all really felt that it was beneficial.
Yeah.
Just having such a concentrated amount of time to work on ourselves as athletes, and then to come back and just put it all into practice on the pitch.
It is tricky though. You're playing competitive football, and then all of a sudden it just comes to a standstill. It's you never expect that. It's 6 months of your life kind of nearly put on pause in terms of football, and then when you come back, you're kind of playing behind closed doors as well.
Yeah, that's a funny one, because I think in women's football, particularly at the time, we weren't used to having big crowds at games anyway. So it wasn't really that different coming back. And I can imagine for the men it would have been quite quiet, but for the women there wasn't much of a change. Obviously the social distancing, and for dressing rooms we had to be separated a lot of the time. So that was a bit of a change. But yeah, we didn't know at the time. We didn't know what else to expect, or that we only knew to just go along with it and do our best with it.
There's probably an element of novelty in it too at the beginning, where this is very different. We're all, and that's how you probably bonded, because there was a bit of probably joking and messing probably as well, but the online side of things as well, I'd imagine.
Yeah, a lot of competition. A lot of it every week was competition. We did a lot of runs and yo-yo tests and things like that, and there was always a bit of competition there, and that helps. Yeah.
And so, did you stay in the fitness game then while you were playing for City then down here? Did you get a job after you finished college, or how does that work?
So I moved down in January 2020
Yeah.
and was on the job hunt as soon as I came down. So I started working with Pepsi in Carrigaline, and was there for 2.5 years or thereabouts. So that's what I was doing while I was playing, was production operator there.
Production operator with them, and playing with City.
Yeah.
How did you find the 2.5 years? Obviously, you liked the first year, the first maybe 2 years, but then there was something changed that you decided to go further afield.
It was honestly the best about 2.5 years I really feel like I've had in football. I really feel like I enjoyed it so much. It was incredible for me, and it just got to a point where I felt like I needed to try something else. I think COVID made me feel like I missed out on something.
Okay. There was an itch to get abroad somewhere.
Yeah,
try something
I think
different.
so. Yeah, and my girlfriend was the same, and we just decided if we're ever going to go, it has to be now. I think I'd always had the feeling that I wanted to see if I could make it as a professional, and if I was going to do it, I was 26 at the time. I think it was going to be then. So I told Danny, and he was really supportive of it. Obviously, having played himself, he understood that if you have the opportunity to go and make it your job, then you have to. So that was it. We made the decision. France was going to be kind of the area we'd look at. And that's where we ended up. And
did you have to get trials for yourself then, or how? Or did you get an agent, or how did it work?
No, I think I went about it myself. Since we picked France, I just decided to go onto the websites of all the clubs, women's that had women's teams. Found email addresses, and then just fired off my highlight video to a load of clubs. I think I could have done with an agent. Probably would have made my life a lot easier, but I just thought I'll try it this way, see how it goes. And I heard back from OGC Nice and AS Monaco, amongst others, but those are the ones that really caught my attention. So since we'd been in Nice in the summer on holiday and we knew what it was like, we decided to go there.
Lovely part of the world, yeah.
Beautiful, yeah.
Lots of sunshine. Small bit different to Cork, like, yeah.
Yeah, we went in November, so it was
Maybe not as sunny at that time of the year.
no, but still a lot hotter than it was here in November.
And so that's full-time football then. So, like, were you offered a contract, or were you on trial, or how did that work?
So they said I could come in. OGC Nice did with their second team. So
Yeah.
the day that we arrived in France, I went training with the second team. Obviously did well because they asked me to come back for another session. Then halfway through the warm up in that session, the first team coach said, "Look, come in with the first team from Tuesday onwards, and we'll have a look. We'll have a talk about things." And went in training with the first team. They were pretty keen to sign me. Met the director of football, but 8 weeks in, it just felt like a contract just wasn't really coming. I think I now know that they were having financial problems. So
Okay.
it was a situation where I could have kept training, probably could have kept pushing it out into the new year, but wasn't sure if I was going to get a contract at the end of it. So
And are they the same team as Nice men's team?
Yeah.
So they're part of the Ineos group, who are now famous for buying Manchester United, buying a share of Manchester United. So
Yeah.
and they're involved with Formula One, and they're involved with a load. I think they have another team in Switzerland as well. But were they there at the time?
Yeah, it was the exact same group. We trained beside the men's, the main training centre. So yeah, it was all the same training gear, all the same sort of situation. I really wish it had worked out. It would have been incredible.
Yeah.
But it wasn't to be.
And from your viewpoint, did you think that they were cutting down on the women's side of the game to benefit the men's, or what were they doing at the time?
I have no idea. I couldn't even have guessed at the time what
Yeah.
was going on. I just knew that they didn't have the money to offer me a contract. Or I don't think they were offering any contracts at the time. I think
Okay.
the squad that they had was what they were going to finish the season with. So coming into the January window, I knew
You needed to get
I
out.
couldn't hang around.
So that meant you had to jump ship. Did you go to Denmark at the time then?
I went to Norway first for
What'd
a
you
week
go to Norway?
on trial, just to see what it was like in the professional game in Scandinavia.
Yeah.
That was great, but I knew it wasn't the right opportunity, so decided then when the opportunity came up in Denmark to take that one. So I went there in March, I think it was.
Their season probably only starting similar to here, is it? Do they go winter or kind of summer football?
I still can't fully explain the way that the seasons work in Scandinavia. I think it's often November to March
Oh, yeah.
or July to November, a break for winter because of the weather.
Yes.
Then March to July.
Or they kind of split it in two
They
or something.
split it in two, yeah, and how you finish at the end of one season determines what you do at the end or at the start of the next. So when I signed going into a qualification league, which was 6 or 7 teams,
Yeah.
and the goal was to get promotion into the first division. So played against Northland in my first game in the cup, which was incredible. Obviously a fully professional outfit, and we know what they do in the men's game. Like that was a great experience. We didn't qualify out of the group, but I played against probably some of the best teams I've ever played.
Was the standard much higher than what you kind of experienced here in Ireland, or?
Yeah, it was the
Straight
highest.
away you could just, like, higher than France?
Higher
yeah.
than France. Yeah, I think the quality of all the players was next level. And then it went even further when I went to Spain, but Denmark was definitely the highest standard I'd ever played.
Like, in terms of attendances and support, like, what were they like in Denmark?
Probably not too dissimilar to what it is here.
Okay.
Our home games were in a stadium as well,
Yeah.
similar to Turner's Cross. We had a decent turnout.
Yeah.
Not as loud as they are in the Cross, but yeah, good numbers all the same.
And are they getting a lot of sponsorship? Like, how are they able to fund the professional game?
Yeah, they get a lot more sponsorship. I think they do a better job at bringing money into the clubs
Yes.
over there. The jerseys and shorts are covered in sponsors, so they
Okay.
utilise all the space that they have.
Yeah.
All the hoardings around the pitch covered in sponsors. They just, I think they get more funding too from their governments for women's football.
Yeah.
There's a bit more of a push. So
And that's why the Scandinavian teams in general do quite well at, European Championships, World Cups. I know Norway have won it before and stuff like that. Like, they've kind of been the leading countries in Europe over the years,
yeah, I think they take a risk on bringing foreign players in too.
Yeah.
For this qualification series that I was in, there was 4 internationals brought in for it alone, and then gone afterwards. So they just take a risk. I think it's risk versus reward in a lot of those countries, and if it pays off, you make money and you get to bring more quality players in.
Which is something like, I think Colleen herself experienced that. I think when she was in Sweden, that they were bringing people in from the US, and it's, you know, it's not seen as something that happens here that often, you know, but over in those countries it would be.
It is, and I think it's important to have a blend in the dressing room and to mix the cultures a bit, because I've even seen since coming back the impact that Colleen and Doro and Barrett have had on the group is huge, and for them to share their experiences and just to hear a different accent and different ways of doing things is really important.
So you would have had a mix of different players. Did you have any international players playing with you in Denmark? Did you have like players that played for the country or anything like that?
No, not for their country in Denmark, but there were 2 American girls that I became quite close with.
Okay.
Which is another side of it. You make incredible friends like that, you know, you'd have forever, but often you never get to see them again.
How did you end up then in Spain? Did the contract come to an end in Denmark and it was a case of let's move again?
Yep, I decided that I only wanted a shorter term contract in Denmark. So it was about 3.5 months so that I could come home, kind of reset, and then I wanted to be on that September to May season cycle. So I came home, had a few calls with teams, and ended up getting the opportunity in Spain. I didn't hesitate too much, to be honest. It just felt like the perfect opportunity.
And what part of Spain was it in?
It was in a place called Cáceres, which is 3 hours west of Madrid, probably closer to Portugal than it is Spain. Yeah. So it's a beautiful city, quite small, historic, and just perfect, exactly what I needed.
Lovely place to experience as well. Like, you know, that's the one thing about, you know, sport. It can bring you around the world. And I imagine as a footballer, it must be fantastic to play in environments like that.
It is, because you're completely out of your comfort zone. And I think that's when it brings the best out of you. But I think you don't get to actually see very much of the places that you go, which is the unfortunate part. You know, I've seen pretty much every city in Spain, but didn't actually get to see.
Because you're on a bus, get to the stadium and go back on the bus again when it's finished.
Yeah, exactly. But still amazing experiences all the same.
And how, like, obviously each league is different. Like, well, how did you fit in there? Like, did your style fit in with those leagues? Like,
yeah, in Spain, they brought me in based on how I'd played in Denmark and the style that I was playing there. We would have been quite a defensive team in Spain. And they just wanted me to come in as a bit of a box-to-box midfielder, which I did. I played quite a bit in the 6 there too, but I think I fit in. I also kind of recognised I needed to adapt my game to work there, but I know I have the ability to play the style that they wanted to play, and to play that, you know, play tiki-taka if I have to, but I can also do the dirty defensive work too, and I think it just worked.
Yeah, because obviously I'd imagine the standard of football in Spain, it is kind of that free-flowing football, I'd imagine, compared to the Irish system, which is probably kind of faster, I'd imagine, is it? Would I be right in saying that? Would it be kind of more pressing, kind of?
It was very intense in Spain. There were no teams that we played against that didn't play a high press. Everything was high press. It was quite counter-attacking, and there was a lot of... The only possession-style teams really were Barcelona and maybe one other, which I'm not even going to attempt to say the name of. Embarrass myself. But no, most of the teams played quite a high press, fast attacking style of football. There wasn't too much. It wasn't very slow. It wasn't what you'd see really in the men's game on TV. And
like Barcelona, they seem to do really well in the women's game, constantly into the latter stages of the Champions League. You know, like, that must have been an unbelievable experience to play against them. It was their B team, but we played in La Masia, right beside the Johan Cruyff Stadium, and it was. I remember at one point stopping on the pitch. There was a break in play, and just looking around, looking at the Barcelona banners on the side of the pitch, and thinking, Jesus, you know, I think I've done okay here. A bit different to Bishopstown, like. A little bit different, yeah. The pitch was perfect. You know, they're wearing the Barcelona kits. I don't know. There's no other way really to describe it other than it did feel like a bit of a dream. Yeah, and like, they are leading the way in terms of women's football. They have over the last couple of years. So, I mean, their B team is probably of an exceptional standard as well, I'd imagine, is it? Yeah, and that week in particular, there was strikes in the first division. So a lot of the players from the first team played down. So players like Vicky Lopez, who I'm pretty sure she played in the Champions League final, she played that day. And
that's one of the pictures I have printed out at home on the wall is a shot from that game with her. No, just incredible stuff. They really are paving the way. And the standard of football in Spain is really good. In the first, second, and third division, it's probably the highest I've experienced. Yeah.
Would they also have a lot of young players? You know, the way, the league here has a lot of younger players. You're seeing 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds getting their game. Is it the same in Spain, or, are they a bit older?
No, it's a young league. Very young. Yeah, they've a huge emphasis on playing their younger players. We had a girl in our team who had just turned 18, and we called her Modric because she was like the next coming thing. She was very, very good. Probably the best player in the team, and she was only 18.
18, yeah.
Yeah. And it was the same in most other teams. You could recognise the best players, and they were always the youngest players because the academies take things very seriously. A lot of girls come into academies and they're full-time from a very young age.
Are the attendances better in Spain then, would you say, compared to some of the other leagues?
Depends on the team, again.
Like when you were playing Barcelona, I know it's their B squad, but would they get a crowd?
There was a decent crowd, but it was in the training ground, so it was there weren't too many seats.
Yes.
There was a few seats for supporters, but it was mainly family.
Yeah.
But there was a good buzz around the place. There was a lot of people coming and going. I think the second last game I played there, we played in front of 14,000.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was against the team that won the league in the end. That was obviously the most I've ever played in front of. That was surreal. Yeah, it
was a great experience, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it was. We lost the game, but it still felt like probably one of the biggest moments for me in the last couple of years. Yeah, it was. I came on in the game and we scored when I came on, and just having that moment on the pitch with the crowd, yeah, it was incredible.
So why leave that and come back to Cork? What was there an itch to unfinished business or something, or?
I suppose when the season finished, I had to come home.
Yeah.
Contract was up, and
was there an offer on the table to come back?
Yeah, it was kind of a mutual agreement that I wouldn't extend because I felt like I wanted to try something else again.
Yeah.
So football's a short career as a professional, and I just thought if I'm gonna do this, I want to have as many experiences as I can. So decided to come home for the summer. Bit of a reset. I was home maybe 2 weeks. Came back in training with City, and I thought after the first session, I thought, shit, I want to stay.
Had you felt that the standard had gone up since the last time you've been here?
Yeah, I've said it to a few people since, that it felt like a new club when I walked in. A lot of the staff was new. I only knew like 3 of the lads, and Eileen. Obviously, a lot of the girls had grown up since I left as well, and they're the main voices in the dressing room now. It just felt like something special was growing, and I wanted to be a part of it. And again, just like on a personal level, I just felt like I had some things that I needed to deal with too, just as an individual. And it's important to be home. I knew if I went away again that I'd just bury some things down that you don't deal with when you go away. So yeah, I decided I'd come home, a bit of a reset. And I'm so happy that I decided to stay.
And were you keeping an eye on their results while you were away? Like, were you?
I watched every game.
Yeah?
Yeah. On my dad's LOI TV login. I was kicking him off to watch the games. Yeah, no, I watched all the games. I saw from the start of the season the progression throughout the season. Watching the Rovers game, I was standing up for half of the game. Watching it on the TV, yeah, I just loved it. I not to be too cliche, but when it just feels right, it feels right. And for me, that's Cork City.
And you even mentioned a bit ago that kind of international experience that has come into the team, like Colleen and Dara and stuff like that. That has really probably helped some of the younger players come on another bit, I'd imagine, has it?
Yeah, definitely. And even if the girls don't recognise it now, they will in a few years.
Yeah. They'll
really understand the impact that the girls have had, that the internationals have had on them. I think it's so important. Like I said, it's so important to have a blend in your dressing room of different kinds of characters and people. So, yeah, I think it's been huge.
And even for Eva then to get called up to the national squad, that's probably a boost as well.
Yeah, it would be.
And especially that she was in the squad that played here in Cork, like, as well, which is, it's another nice thing that I suppose, again, other players in the squad will think, oh, that could be me.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's great for the younger girls to see that. I think when you have a player in your team that's international standard, it gives you that little boost, like, okay, we can do this. she's really good, and she's great. I think she's got a big future ahead of her. I think she has a great attitude, and I love playing with her. It was when I came back in, she said she didn't even acknowledge me when I first came back in because she felt like I'd never been away. She just said it felt normal, and to be honest, as soon as we got back training together and playing together, it felt like I'd never left. Yeah, I just really enjoy playing with her, and I think she's has a great impact on the team, and especially as captain, I think she's huge for them, for us.
And you came back right in time for a nice little cup run, I suppose is what you're saying, because you're still in it.
Yeah.
I'd imagine like beating Bows and all went all the way into extra time and stuff like, but must be a phenomenal experience. And there was even people in the shed shouting and roaring and giving abuse and everything. I know probably, I'm not sure whether we should be encouraging abuse, but it kind of helps sometimes.
Yeah, I think, and again, I've said this to people, I haven't enjoyed a game as much as I did last Saturday. I feel like throughout the whole 90 minutes and 120 minutes, whatever, I was so present and enjoyed every single second. It felt like this is the reason I came back, was for moments like that. The lads in the shed were unbelievable, and it gives such a boost. Like, I don't think really until you've experienced it, it's very hard to explain the kind of kick that it gives you in a game, even just knowing the impact that it can have on the opposition. When you attack, you feel like you're attacking with many more others pushing behind you, and when you defend, you feel like you've got a load of people standing in the goal with you defending. It's huge, and I think for the rest of the season, if we can have that, it'll be massive for the push in the cup and for the top 4 finish that we're aiming for in the league. Yeah.
So when people usually say, and this is always like having an extra player on the pitch, in many ways it kind of is in that scenario, isn't it? Because if you're not used to it and then all of a sudden it happens, it lifts the team. It
does, yeah. When you're making it like a defensive run, if you have to run 50, 60 yards and you can hear the lads chanting, it makes a huge difference, in the drum. And when we scored the goal, when Orla scored the goal and Barrett as well, I felt like I've never been in a louder environment. It was great. Yeah, we just really hope that they keep coming back. I think it was a good experience for them, maybe to see the quality of the women's game. You know that we do play good football.
There's been some unbelievable goals scored by the women this year, like Dara, Eva. There's been so many unbelievable finishes that could be up for goal of the season, I'd imagine. Yeah,
and they do that every week in training, so it's not once off. Yeah, so when they do it on a match day, we're not surprised. Very impressed, but not surprised. So I think if the lads keep coming out, filling the shed, and obviously the regulars in the main stand, they'll see more goals like that in person. They don't have to watch them online.
Have you seen a huge change in the kind of supporters that are coming to the women's game now in the league since your first time playing with Wexford, which is nearly 10 years ago at this point? Probably 8 years ago, is it?
Yeah, about 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
When I first started playing, it was families and maybe a couple of friends of players. Now you've got loads of young teams and a lot of girls teams coming out to watch us, and especially in the cross. And it's great because in 3, 4, 5 years they'll be playing for City.
Yeah.
And they'll be on the other side of the fence in Turner's Cross. And then we'll get to watch them and say, we kick-started that. But yeah, the crowds have grown massively, and for the next few games we want to continue to grow it, have a huge crowd there and show what we're capable of, because next year we're going to have a big year. You're
obviously going to have a very tough game in the semi-final against Shells, but how do you feel going into that?
Well, full respect to Shells and the quality that they have and that they are, but my initial reaction when I saw the draw was, this is our final. In cup competitions, you have to, if you want to win the cup, you have to beat the best, and you have to beat everyone. So the aim is to go up there and win it, and then have one more game and try win the cup. That's the goal. I know we haven't beaten them in a long time, if ever. I'm not sure of the stats, but that's just motivation to do it.
You've surprised people this year. People didn't expect you to beat Rovers or Peamount, and you have. So on your day, I'd imagine you're confident enough that you could take on anyone.
Yeah, we are. Fully confident. I think we'll go into training. Obviously, it's a while away yet now, and we're focused on the league. But when it comes to it, the week leading up to the game, we'll be fully focused and fully confident of going and winning that game.
in terms of Danny, have you seen a change in Danny over the years? Because obviously, he's well cemented in as the boss.
He's changing his hair.
He's gone a bit grey, all right. Yeah.
No, he had a good haircut at the weekend, and I think it probably contributed to the win. Danny's been great to me since I came back. His understanding in the time that I needed kind of to make the decision was really important for me. And look, 2 years is a long time.
It is, yeah, especially in football.
Yeah, especially in football. So I think everybody part of the club has grown and learned and become better people in the last 2 years. And yeah, I think Danny's even said it himself. When I left or when he first came in, we probably didn't have the best relationship, just because that happens sometimes in football. But we've both grown and matured, and I think we've a really good relationship now.
And I'd imagine there's strong competition for places in that squad, because Danny's added a lot of players even in the window this summer and stuff like that. There's been a lot more people. So I'd imagine it's quite competitive there.
Very competitive. Yeah, really competitive. And that's so important. You need that to be a good team. I think all the girls are recognising now that to be part of a good team, you need to have competition. And it's not something that you can get down about, or you can't sulk, or, feel sorry for yourself, because if you want to be part of a team that's doing well, then it's going to be difficult to get into that team. But yeah, like you said, it's really important. It's really, really important to have a competitive squad.
Every week we usually get the fans to send us in messages, and I think there's been a couple send them in for you. So the first question that I have, okay, so one of your teammates here, what's your favourite football memory so far? I love the Cantona celebration versus 21. Galway in 21.
That was a good one.
Can you guess who actually sent in that message, I wonder?
It was Ciara McNamara, was it? Yeah. She references that quite a bit, to be fair. God, that's a tough question. If I had to pick for City, it's probably getting to the cup final. I think that game against Treaty in the semi-final in Bishopstown, and it was raining and the pitch was destroyed, and that feeling after that game of we've just gotten to a cup final was... Yeah, that was nice. That was a special one. That was a special one, yeah.
What was your favourite one abroad, actually, over the last, say, 2 years? They're playing in 3 different countries, well, 4.
I scored a goal, my first professional goal, only professional goal, in a game at the start of the season last year for Spain, or in Spain. So I'd probably say that moment. That one. Yeah.
You kind of answered this one already, but we'll ask it. Dylan is one wants to know, what was it like to have some of the commandos at the match on Saturday?
Oh, incredible. Yeah, incredible. I think shout out to them, because they made the game, it would have been amazing, obviously, without them, but having them there just made it 10 times better. So if they can come back again now next week, that would be great.
So this is a call out, so to get more of them in.
It is, yeah, absolutely a call out.
Get your friends down, get them in.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, why not? I think the lads saw how good it can be, so let's pack out the shed for the next home game.
Mark wants to know, what is the one thing you love about Cork City?
After Saturday, the thing that's in the forefront of my mind is the togetherness, and just how it feels like a family. The club really just feels like everybody's together and chasing after the same thing, and I think it's a Cork thing anyway. So shout out to all the Cork people, but it's just so welcoming. I've always felt like it's my home. Even
though you're Wicklow born and bred and played in Wexford, you never feel like an outsider?
No, never. No, I always just felt like this is where I was supposed to be.
And it's interesting, because it's something that the lads, obviously, Shawnee's from the East Coast, and, Rory Keaton and stuff is, from the West and stuff like that. But they've also said that's one of the reasons that they came back to the club, is they felt that they belong here as well.
Yeah, that's why I came back. So yeah, because that feeling of belonging.
Yeah, family. Yeah,
it is.
Ciara has another question. She wants to know that if you were stuck on a desert island, pick one current and one ex-teammate to be with you. The current one is hard. No, the next one might be a bit easier.
Current teammate. God, that's tough, because do I want to have a good time or do I want to get off the island? I'm going to say I want to get off the island. So I'd probably have to pick Mac herself. I think we're the 2 most experienced players in the squad. I think we would do okay.
You do all right.
Yeah. Can we have one thing with us? Just water, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ex-teammate. I give a shout out to my best friend, Cleena Crammond. I'd have her with me. She doesn't play football anymore, but we do okay. But we probably wouldn't get off the island. We just have a good time.
You just have a good crack and stay there.
Yeah.
In terms of over the years, questions for myself. Who was the best player you ever played with?
Kylie Murphy.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, hands down.
Stands out in your mind.
Yeah, she does. On and off the pitch is just, the best player I've ever played with.
And in terms of playing against, who was the toughest to play against that you found like in the middle of the park, you just couldn't get hold of him, like you couldn't, yeah.
I don't know if physically I've probably I struggled to find someone that I struggled with physically. I think Ella Malloy, even though I haven't played against her that many times, it's very difficult to play against.
Yeah.
She's just her quality is so good. She knows exactly what she wants to do 3-4 steps before she even gets the ball. Yeah, I'd say Ella Malloy.
Going forward, obviously the goal for the rest of the season, you said top 4, is it? And to win the cup.
Yep.
That's the goal. In the long term, are you here to stay?
Yeah, at the moment I am. Yeah, obviously it's hard to know what could be down the line, but yeah, I'm here to stay.
And you think you have a good few years left in you yet?
Plenty.
You're not giving up the game anytime soon.
No, absolutely not. I'm only 28.
Definitely easy another 7 or 8 years left in you.
Yeah, exactly. There's players that have played longer in the league, so.
And you're not worried about the younger ones coming up behind you?
No, it's just motivation.
Yeah. Knock me off my perch.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, listen, Becky, thanks a million for coming in, and we're looking forward to seeing what way the rest of the season goes. Hopefully, there's a nice little cup final coming up.
Yeah, hopefully.
And top 4 finish as well.
Exactly. Well, thanks for having me.
Thanks a million. Yeah, that was a mad couple of years she had, wasn't it?
Very busy couple of years, yeah. And she got to take in a lot of countries, a lot of different types of football and different clubs. And I think she enjoyed the experience overall, but definitely happy to be back on Lee's side.
No, definitely happy to be back and looking forward to a big cup semi-final, as we said.
Yeah.
And as we said, Danny psyched up for it too, and I think now maybe with the men's team guaranteed, promotion again to the Premier Division, we're back, the focus might shift more to them.
Hopefully it does.
The media attention and stuff like that, because sometimes it can be forgotten. If let's say the two things were on at the same time, they might get the same. Whereas now there's nobody else in contention down this side. Like Ramblers don't look like they're going to make the playoffs either. So basically, Cork football is in the hands of the women's team.
Yeah, they're the team that still has something to
play for
go for. And an interesting one actually is this podcast will probably go out on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Which means there's still plenty of time ahead of the match on Wednesday. So there's 2 home games this week. We're at home on Wednesday night to Galway,
which is a rare one. We never.
Yeah, that's a rescheduled fixture. I don't think we've ever played at home on a Wednesday night. I know we've a couple of away games on Wednesdays, but 8 p.m. kickoff at Turner's Cross on Wednesday night.
So under the lights.
Under the lights, yeah. And then we're back at Turner's Cross again on Saturday. Wexford are down. Yeah. So it's a nice double header over the space of a couple of days. If you are looking for something to do on your Wednesday night, get down to Turner's Cross.
No football because the internationals will be over.
Exactly. I know it makes it a bit more difficult for kids and stuff with school the next morning, but there's no home game on Friday night.
Yeah.
So there's a home game on Wednesday. There's a home game on Saturday.
Yeah.
You can get your Turner's Cross evening fix on Wednesday, and then you go back again on Saturday after.
Some people like to get out. That's the thing. It's like, maybe, and kids are free, aren't they?
Under 16s get in for free, yeah.
So a great chance to maybe impress some of the neighbours, bringing all their kids along or whatever.
100%, yeah. Look, it's something that we always say, like women's games at Turner's Cross, women's games in general, there's a different vibe. It's a different sort of experience, and one thing you'll notice if you haven't been to a game before and you do go on Wednesday or Saturday is after full time, the girls are so giving with their time, like they will sign every autograph, take every selfie, they chat to the fans. It's a brilliant family thing. Again, I know it's difficult for families on a Wednesday night because it'll be 10 o'clock by the time this is happening, but it is a really fun day out or evening out, whatever it is. So I would, if you haven't been to a game, go along to a game. Look, the lads from the shed, the Commandos came to the last game against Bows in the Cup, and they thoroughly enjoyed it. There was a great atmosphere going. They loved it. I know Danny and the girls have publicly said they really enjoyed it and they feed off that.
Becky actually mentioned it there as well.
Yeah, she did, yeah. And I think there was a couple of other interviews with newspapers and stuff where the girls really highlighted how much of an impact that has. And look, that's brilliant, and that's what we want every week at every women's game. And I know we're coming to the end of the season now, but there is a couple of opportunities left for people to get to do that. Wednesday being the first one.
Yeah, we forgot to mention our academy teams. I presume they were playing over the weekend.
We did. There was a couple of games Saturdays and Sundays as per usual. So on Saturday, our women's under-17s were at home to Treaty United, big Munster derby, and it was a 4-0 win. Emma Hurley scored, Phoebe O'Shea got 2 and Amy McCarthy got the 4th. The men's under-20s won 2-1 at home to Drogheda United. Matthew Murray and Callum O'Hohen got the goals in that one. Our under-13 side lost away to Shamrock Rovers. And then the under-15s had a big win. That was the Cup semi-final in Bishopstown against Shamrock Rovers. And it was a 5-3 win after extra time. So that sets up
the Michael Hayes Cup or something.
Michael Hayes Cup, yeah, that's a spot in the Cup final for the 15. So that's a big one and a brilliant one to look forward to.
Yeah, no, fair play to them. Overall, they very good weekend for the academy, actually.
Great weekend,
I know the under-13s last. I know
we spoke about the women's team losing in Athlone as well, but like, I don't know if you've seen the Athlone goals, but like they were all unbelievable goals. Great finishes, a worldie from long range. Like, in terms of, goals to be undone by, you kind of have to just say fair enough. You know what I mean? Like, some of the goals were incredible.
Yeah, look, sometimes these type of games will happen where just, no matter what you do, like if a team is going to score unbelievable goals.
Yeah. And look, Athlone are that team as well where they're a notoriously difficult place to go to. They're flying high in the league. They're right up there. As are Galway, who are playing on Friday.
Not an easy place to go
Wednesday.
to either, so the girls might be a bit tired as well. It's not a straight motorway all the way. Like you have to,
Do you know what's funny? The games we're bigging up here, Athlone, Galway and Shells, they're actually the 3 teams that are at the top of the league. So it is a very difficult one or 3 very difficult ones to go in and try and get something out of. But look, Athlone, as I said, 4 great goals. Very difficult team.
Speaking of the academy as well, it was great to see 3 former Cork City Academy graduates playing for the Irish team on Saturday. I know you were there, I was there as well.
Yeah.
But on the pitch at the same time, which is the first time in a while we've had 3 at the same time, I'd say, with Alan Brown, Jacob Bryan, and who am I forgetting? Chidozie, yeah. My head was gone there for a second because Cuivine didn't play for us, but
or Adamida, but still great to have the Cork
lads,
representation though. But it was brilliant, and Jacob Bryan I think did well when he came on. I know Cuivine isn't one of ours, but he was probably the best Ireland performer. I thought.
He was, he was brilliant.
Chidozie was alright as well.
Yeah, Chidozie got the man of the match.
Yeah, disappointing result though, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. I always feel strange when you give man of the match for a losing team. Like
it's probably one of those like contractual obligations with a sponsor or something.
Cross, do we?
No, I think we do a man of the match on the stream, but I think to be fair, if we're beaten, to be fair, we've won every game at home this year. But I think to be fair, if we're beaten,
we wouldn't be calling it out over the PA. Like,
yeah, no, if we're beaten, it's given to whoever's best around the pitch. Look, if it's one of the other players, Philip Long is actually the one that picks the man of the match, and look, we slag Phil a lot that like you could get a hat trick and Phil will give it to the centre half just because he's a defender. Do you know what I mean? Like, so, even look, if someone came down and got 5 goals against us, Phil would probably give it to one of the defenders on that team anyway. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I know. No, look, it was brilliant that it was. Chidozie got the player of the match for Ireland, but it was disappointing result. But do you know, it's to be expected. We're up against England, like, God, like the amount of players they can choose from.
Yeah, true, but still,
And then of all people, scored 2 goals.
I know, imagine that. I saw a couple of jokes on Twitter, like, how are 2-1 goals for Ireland in the first half? But oh God.
Yeah, no, but
even funnier again was Lee Carsley coming out of the tunnel and going over to the wrong dugout before the game. It seems like everything that could have been memed from that game happened.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it was funny. I met Laura City fans actually in Junction 14 on the way back as well. So
actually, do you know what? I got the train back, and even outside the stadium, I met a lot of people. In the ground, I met a few, and got to the train station in Dublin waiting to come back, and half the train were Cork City fans, chatting to people there.
There's a huge crossover, sort of football. Like,
there is, yeah. And a lot of people were like, oh, did you stay up last night? Nope. I went home and I came back up again. But yeah, look, it's brilliant to see. And even people on the train who I didn't know, kind of overhear people talking about how brilliant it is for Cork City and football in Cork that they got promoted and stuff like that. No, there was a couple of Cove Ramblers fans on there as well who probably didn't enjoy hearing all of that. But look, it is brilliant. People are talking about it again, and
that is, yeah.
We're in the headlines and we're in the news, as you said, which is it's brilliant for the club.
You know, like I can't think of many other League of Ireland clubs that would have had that many players, ex-players playing with the Irish team, didn't I?
It's a good point, actually. Yeah,
I was thinking,
but we've kind of always done that. Like we always talk about this conveyor belt that's in the academy, but that's not even just a recent thing. That's going back a long time.
because I remember when Dave Moyle, Shane Long, and Kevin Doyle were all on the same team as well, and I think Brian Lennon might have been in the squad at one stage, like all around the same kind of era. So
yeah,
this is not, a new thing.
It's not a new development. Yeah, it's something that we've done. Funnily enough, actually, Pat Dolan was talking about it on Thursday night that there should have been so many more
capped,
players in Cork City players, but also League of Ireland players.
About it, actually.
Do you know what, Pat Dolan? You can tell.
Yeah,
he loves Cork City FC so much.
Yeah,
like he really, really does.
I got a message from him afterwards about 12 o'clock saying, thanks a million. He says, I loved being part of that club.
And and from people I was talking to afterwards, they loved hearing from him again. It's been so long since he sort of done something down here.
He got a great reception too.
He did, yeah. I got a big cheer when he came out.
So did John.
Massive, actually, yeah, wasn't it?
I think John got a kick out of it too. It's nice, like,
It's funny, I was wondering, we actually had mentioned during it that we'd be taking questions on Twitter and Instagram and stuff like that, which we didn't even get a chance to do because we were just so busy. But there was a couple of Galway United related questions, all right, and that had come in like, "Why are you there, John? Like, why did Galway allow you to do that?" But never got to it. Never got to it in the end.
Yeah, but that's what I suppose we did focus more on his playing career because
we didn't even get to talk, as we said.
When I mentioned the other night, like, he is the most, like we said on the podcast a few weeks ago when we were talking to Shawnee, like himself and Pat Morley, the most league goals together. But John is the most goals in total if you put in all the cup competitions. He's the most appearances for the club, and he probably has the most medals because between manager and player, very few people will come near him. Like, I think maybe the likes of Dan Murray and Alan Bennett might have more as a player.
Do you know what I'd said to you on the night afterwards? There was a good one that come in on Instagram about like what would John say he's most proud of, his Cork City playing career and all the accolades he has and the records he has, or his Cork City managerial career. It would have been nice to get that out of him, but we didn't even get to it. But yeah, no, look, it was a brilliant night. I think we said it already. Everyone enjoyed it, but I think most importantly for us, the guests enjoyed it. That was a big thing. We wanted them to feel comfortable and
that's why we focused that. Like, you might have seen the posters and stuff like that at Turner's Cross, and it was never about us. It was about them.
Oh yeah, it's about the club
and
the names from the big names from the history of the club. Just on that, the posters and all the promotional stuff. Big thanks to the Cork Podcast Festival for even inviting us and for having us.
Yeah, because this, like, we didn't decide to go away and just book the Opera House. Like, we're not that egotistic.
Yeah, it was a Cork City event, but it wasn't a Cork City event. We didn't sit down and go, we'll go Opera House. That wasn't it.
No, we were lucky to be invited, and like, it's still on. So actually, there's a couple of podcast live shows this week. So check it out, because Joe and the lads there and Ed and all them, that great guys.
We've seen some of the work that goes in behind the scenes in terms of organising it and getting everything ready. It is a hell of a lot of work.
Some of the guests got a great kick of being on the stage in Opera House. I thought it was funny. Like, Rory and Trevor had never been on the stage. There. And I thought, being in media, that at some point they would have been brought on, or
even just be there for something. And they never were,
a guest or a host or something.
No. It felt weird that we were kind of showing them around. This is where, it was a bit mad, wasn't it?
Yeah, of course, we had both been on the stage before, but not for football podcasts.
In a previous life, In a previous life. But it was a bit of a weird one, all right, kind of being one step ahead of them nearly in there. Like, look, this is how we get backstage.
These are lovely, and the dressing rooms are lovely.
They are. They're lovely, yeah. Everyone was cramped in there.
Yeah.
From all eras of the club, having a nice chat beforehand. We had such a good chat beforehand. Probably could have done with microphones.
I was thinking that afterwards. We were inside and chatting about the old days with John Caulfield and Stuart Ashton and, Trevor Welch, and they had all the old stories about Flower Lodge and everything.
Come here, Trevor's story about playing against City, and Stuart Ashton getting an own goal. Brilliant story, wasn't it? Like, what are the chances they'd all end up on the same panel in the Opera House on that.
Trevor
first
came
night.
out with his notes and all. Like, he
Trevor
was
was
waiting for
prepped,
that
like,
story.
yeah.
He was the only one that came out. He was like, I'm getting this story.
Getting it in, yeah.
That's why, like, people might say he jumped in with a question. That's because I didn't ask him. He jumped in to make sure that he was getting
it in, yeah. Do you know what? Rory had told me beforehand, and I was kind of disappointed he didn't get to do it. He wanted, in the spirit of being on stage in the Opera House, he wanted to sneak in a panto joke. So he wanted either oh no you're not, or no yes you are. He never got it.
Yeah.
I think if he got it, because I was expecting it, I probably would have just cracked up, and he never got it. Very disappointing.
Yeah, I know. Rory was delighted being on stage, right? But like, it's trying to fit them all in. That was the challenge. Look, and there's learnings from these things as well. That if we do something again in the future, you know, we might go with less guests, but we were trying to mark 40 years, and like, why would you pick one person over another person?
That's the thing, yeah.
And the other thing, that if you weren't there, you wouldn't write. But we might throw them up on social or something. We had some great video messages as well on the night.
We did, yeah. Some of them were brilliant, weren't they? We had Brian Barry Murphy sent us a video message, Kevin Doyle, Noel Mooney, and then we got one from Stephen Beattie as well.
Yeah.
Or Stephen Beattie said, what was he said? Caulfield's finally going to put his hand in his pocket and buy people around, something like that. Beats is great crack.
Yeah, I know. That was great.
Brilliant,
Like,
yeah.
and because we had obviously, if you look on social, you see the pictures, and there's this big screen behind us. It was fantastic because we were able to play it in the clips, like Rory commentating and Dave Barry scoring against Bayern Munich.
The famous moments, yeah, which we nearly even didn't get a chance to, because again, there was so much to talk about.
And Trevor's commentary, and where they hijacked, I think, the German.
I love that. They literally, it was just straight up German TV feed, and they just turned down the volume a little bit of the commentator, and Trevor's just talking over him. I can't get over that.
Multi-channel in the Opera House then, for anyone that remembers the early days of Turner's Cross.
Wasn't he he wasn't chanting it, he was repeating a chant about RT. That needs to come. Yeah, there's maybe more of an editing job than I expected there, isn't there?
Yeah, no, there was so many things actually when you think back. There was and Dave Barry shutting Trevor down, and there was just all these funny things happening. No, it was brilliant. A great night. And hopefully we get to do it again in the future. Maybe it's something that we do on for big events like the start of a season or something. Maybe a preview.
Do you know what? It would have been really good actually. We were talking about it afterwards. Something like that as like a season preview.
Yeah,
where you get a couple of current players maybe, or something like that.
Thinking about their opinions as well. Yeah, there's
maybe something to look at. Yeah.
Yeah. No, so definitely we'd be open to suggestions, but
and look, we said it before, there's this comments feature on Spotify, obviously the social media. If you were there, let us know.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed it. If you weren't there, and you're looking forward to seeing the footage and the clips and stuff like that, start the discussion in the comments. Let's get talking about it.
You could keep it for Christmas, like
exactly. Christmas special, yeah. But no, look, it was really enjoyable. I enjoyed it. I know you enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, I was very good. And thanks to everyone for all the nice messages and stuff afterwards. Look.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
You know, and it was a great atmosphere on the night. Another thing that we did the last time, but we never got to put it out, was we picked our best 11s of all time.
We did. So, you know what? I have mine. Hold on. I'm just pulling up my notes app. I have mine down here in formation order so that I don't forget anyone.
Be a bit controversial.
I actually can't even find it. But look, I remember it. In goal, Mark McNulty.
Yeah.
Club legend. Don't need to say anything else. Right back, Stephen Beattie.
Yeah.
Centre backs, Alan Bennett, Dan Murray.
Yeah.
Left back, Danny Murphy.
Yeah.
4 in midfield again, Colin Healy, Greg Bulger, Garrod Morrissey, Liam Kearney, John O'Flynn and Sean Maguire up top. I think that's again, my first game was 2005. This is heavily later era Cork City, but like that's a good Cork City team.
So I was a couple of people the same, but trying to go over all that period of time. So I hope I remember this now. Biscuits on goal, so Phil Harrington on goal. I went with at left back Danny Murphy, right back, more known for being a centre back, I went with Decky Daly, mainly because he was the club captain for so long as well. But unbelievable player. The two centre backs, they're kind of similar. I'm not really sure how they play together, but Dan Murray and Derek Collin, I just thought maybe for different reasons, two great leaders and thought phenomenal players. In the middle, I was going to go with a kind of 4-4-2 system. The two centre midfield would be, I think, Dave Barry. We had to have Dave in there, and Joe Gamble, because I think Joe, because I'm going to put a lot of attacking players in, Joe would sit in that defence, kind of like that holding defensive midfielder. And then I'd have on the left wing, Ollie Cahill. I just thought he was one of the best players. Actually, Dave mentioned that actually on the night. He just thought he was a great signing when he brought him in that time in the 90s. An unusual one, but I'm going to put John Caulfield on the right just because he did the odd time drop back a bit. He wasn't always just the main man up front. And the two up front, I think it's the same as yourself, John O'Flynn and Shawnee Maguire.
They're like the two main choices, really, aren't they?
And like when you think of all the other forwards you could have had, like just tons of them, you know. But
yeah, I put Caulfield in as manager, just as like a little cheeky workaround, because like obviously you didn't get to see him as a player. Yeah. Definitely got to see him as a manager and what he won, so he's a manager.
And I feel bad for leaving out the likes of, you know, Pat Morley. I can think of George O'Callaghan, Colin Healy.
It's mad, isn't it? There's so many
There's
names.
loads of them there. Like
who gets the shout as your manager? Caulfield's in as a player now, so you can't give the Caulfield. You can't be there twice.
Yeah. Maybe give Pat Dolan a go.
Yeah, that's fair.
An attacking team, like
that's fair.
You know, and another man that often gets forgotten as well, like with Damien Richardson. But I haven't seen Damien in a long time. But
do you know, just on Pat Dolan there, I saw a funny post. I think it was on the forum afterwards. You know, Pat Dolan was talking about how he came in and built the Rebel Army brand.
Yeah,
and it was like, can't remember who it was. It was like, if Pat Dolan never invented the Rebel Army, the podcast would just be called Podcast. I was like, that's so stupid, but so good.
So the funny thing about that is, I don't know, like I'm not going to challenge Pat on that, like, but I'm convinced we used to sing Davy Barry's Rebel Army in the 90s, but maybe someone know, like Jolly Desmond will fill me in on that one. But
I was in nappies at that point anyway, I couldn't tell you.
Can somebody, you know, am I imagining that? You know,
it's an interesting one. I would have always, like, I've always heard it came from Pat Dolan.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily,
and
it might be true, it might not be true, I don't know.
The late John Kennedy as well was big into the Rebel Army as well, so yeah.
I think it's the best name. I think it's absolutely class.
Yeah,
so good. Like obviously the GA, there's the Rebels.
Yeah.
Rebel Army's kind of different but kind of similar. I think it's just so good.
Yeah.
Like even if it wasn't Cork City, if it was another club's nickname, like that's just a good nickname for a club, isn't it? It's class.
That's brilliant. You know, so
great name for a podcast.
Listen, send us in your all-time 11s as well for next
100%, yeah. We want as many as we can.
We could read some of them out, and there might be ones, you know, that from the very early days that I wouldn't know either. Like
there might be some absolutely awful ones that we can take the mick out of as well.
The worst 11 of all.
Oh God, we're not inviting that, but feel free to.
Well, we might leave it at that.
That's the perfect place to leave it now for this week.
Yeah, but the lads are away. The women are 2 matches at home, so get out and support them. And we'll be back next week. We have a few people to interview over the next couple of weeks. We're
trying to get Rory Keating in, which is the big request since he came in. Everyone wants him as well.
Yeah.
So we'll try and get him lined up over the next couple of weeks. And that's another great story.
To be honest, some of those guests that we had the other night, I think the only one that was on the podcast before was Rory. None of the rest of them. And a lot of them had stories that we didn't get around to.
They could all come in here. We could get them all in again one by one. Yeah. Which we probably will do because they were that good.
And we might get Tim back in, but we might wait till the season's over.
Yeah, we'll definitely get Tim back in because I think he was the first episode and everything he spoke about was my job is to go and win the league. That's done. He's done it. So probably good to do it like a season review type thing with them.
Season review thing, yeah.
We'll do. I know we did a kind of a mid-season review with Danny, but I know it makes sense to get Tim in and get his perspective, get a couple of players' perspectives as well. But look, that's a couple of weeks down the line. So
yeah, we still have a few weeks to go in the league, and at least we can kind of relax and enjoy it now and see a few more goals.
Look, before we just wrap it up, a big shout out again to the Crown Centre. We always talk about how brilliant they are out here. And letting us use this room whenever we want, as regularly as we want, and they're a partner that we're really proud to have at the club, and I know they really love the club and support the club as well. Like Porrick, I was just talking to him there, he's heading up to Kerry on Friday and he can't wait for it. So I think that's a really good two-way partnership that everyone's happy with, and Long may that continue as well.
Yeah, and if you want to go to another event, don't forget the comedy night is coming up with Andrew Ryan in the Everyman on Halloween.
31st of October. Yeah, so that's the next big one.
Still on for that.
Yeah, they're on the Everyman website, or you can get them from corkcityfc.ie/comedy.
Yeah, but no doubt we'll be reminding you over the next few weeks anyway. But yeah, until next week. Yeah, talk to you then.
See you next week.